I don't know how we're in March, but we are, and F1 is back, and I'm so excited. I've been so bored. I miss my F1 background noise. I miss the races, but welcome to February's recap. I think this video might be a little short because I've read only 2 books in February, and it is just not a great reading month for me. I've been in a slump. Nothing I'm reading, nothing I'm picking up is good. I'm a mood reader. It's not working. If you hear my cat, I'm really sorry. He's decided to come wander. The first book I finished in February is Dance of Monsters by Jagger Cole, and I am so sad to be leaving the Mercury Theater community. The girls there, they have been so fun to read. I actually have the first 6 books in this series on my shelf because they were ARCs that were sent to me, and I'm so beyond grateful for that. This series has followed a group of girls who are ballet dancers at the Mercury Theater. I think the full name of the theater is the Mercury Opera House. Every single book in this series has been so fun to read. I've been having a blast. And so with Dance of Monsters, we're finally finishing out the series and moving on to what Jagger has planned for next gen. This book in particular follows Evelina and Vaughn. Vaughn is the Marquis of the Obsidian Syndicate, which is sort of like Mafia, but not exactly. I would describe that organization as sort of like morally black, so there's a lot of bloodshed with the Obsidian Syndicate. Evelina is the sister of Roman, and Roman's book was Dance of Defiance. So Roman currently runs the Nikitan Bratva. In Dance of Defiance, Roman takes over the Nikitan Bratva from his dad, and his dad is currently banished in Russia. So in Evelina's book, she's trying to find a way to protect her dad and make sure he's okay, even though he's a really selfish narcissist and doesn't particularly care for her. So it's sort of like a deal with the devil plot point. Evelina is trying to do anything and everything she can to make sure her father is protected while he is banished from New York. Vaughn shows up pretty early in the series. I don't remember when exactly, but he is everything that I wanted him to be. He is a little scary, to me at least, but that's sort of understandable because you have to be pretty psychotic to get to where he is. If I'm understanding this correctly, or at least this is how I see it in my head, the Marquis is the second most powerful person in the Obsidian Syndicate, if not the first. Obviously, Vaughn has been through a lot, but it's not for nothing. He's using everything that he's learned throughout his entire life to do better. Would I say that he's doing it to be a better person? Not exactly, because he's at the top of a mafia organization, but he's doing better than his dad did. Moving on to Evelina, I feel a little bad for her because I feel like she's at the butt of every inappropriate joke, if you know what I mean. And it's mostly because she can't say the word sex, and she does not curse at all. At least not until Vaughn walks into her life. Vaughn does not completely make her not innocent anymore. There's still a little bit of innocence in her because she still struggles to say all of those words, but she's a little more comfortable with it now. She's a little more comfortable with who she really is, and I love that for her. I also really loved how much we saw Val and Roman in this book because I missed them so much. It's probably my favorite book of the series. It's either Dance of Defiance or Dance of Devils because Val and Roman just have a really great story, and Dance of Devils is Kier and Brooklyn's book. And with Kier, I've just followed this man since the Venomous God series. Since I've met him, I've just been like, who is this man? Please tell me there's a book on him, and we finally got that in the series. So I'm a little sad to be leaving these girls and their men, but I'm also really excited for what's next because it's next gen, and it is at Knight's Blood University, which is where all of the kids of mafia families go. And I have completely immersed myself in this world that Jagger's built, and it is so fun. I can't wait. The other book that I finished in February is Like a Wildflower by Sam Wilde. This book just made me so warm and fuzzy and cozy on the inside. It is perfect. In this book we have two very anxious people, Josephine, who has always been described as too much by people in her life, and Beckett, who is a travel nurse, and he has social anxiety and doesn't do very well in social gatherings. I would say both are travelers. I mean, obviously Beckett is a travel nurse, so he doesn't stay in one place for very long. It's like 3 months at a time. Joey's also a bit of a traveler. She spends a lot of time on the road with her orange Volkswagen camper van. I think it's a camper van. It's either that or like a little bus. Either way, it's orange. I don't know why I remember this. It's what happens when you work in a male-dominated industry. But in this book, both Joey and Beckett find themselves back in Hemlock, Oregon. Joey because her mom recently passed away, and Beckett because he picked a small town for his next assignment. They're stuck together for 3 months because they didn't realize that the cabin that they both rented for these 3 months has been double booked. But this isn't like a one bed sort of situation though, because this cabin in my head looks pretty big. They each have their own rooms, and their rooms are on separate floors, so there's a lot of space for them to not see each other if they choose. Especially with Beckett having weird hours as a nurse, they just don't cross paths as often. However, they do end up having a lot of late night conversations, and maybe those late night conversations lead to a little more. Feelings get involved, and then suddenly it becomes like, what are we gonna do now? Especially because both characters travel and don't stay in one place. For me, this book is sort of like the epitome of like, when I say I want to be seen, heard, understood, Beckett and Joey are exactly what I mean. Beckett might be a nurse, but he still takes the time and effort to see Joey and sort of anticipate her needs. And he notices the little things, and I love the little things. They mean so much more than the big grand gestures. So, in my opinion, if somebody as busy as Beckett can notice the little things, then any man can, because how is this man working 12-hour shifts, sleep deprived, dealing with the chaos of the emergency room? If he can notice the little things about Joey, then like, there really is no excuse here. And Joey sort of reciprocates that with Beckett because she knows that Beckett doesn't do well in social gatherings, so she's always like, okay, let's go say hi to everybody, and then in like 10 minutes we'll bail. And they're always okay with that. I also love that Frank makes an appearance in this book because Frank is a blind kleptomaniac dog, and he just causes chaos everywhere he goes. And Beckett has a cat named Barbara. She has a little bit of banana every night, and Beckett doesn't even like bananas, but he eats the rest of it. Anything for Barbara, honestly. This next one might be a little bit of a hot take because I didn't finish it and I had to put it down for good because I just didn't like it. And that is Just Friends by Haley Pham. I feel really bad because I had high hopes for this book. My friend wanted to read it more than I did, but I feel so bad for having to give it up. I really wanted to like it. It seemed from the blurb that this would be a really cute small town second chance, but then I started reading it and there were just a lot of similes and a lot of metaphors and a lot of telling and not showing. I didn't get very far into this. I got like maybe 15% in. I think I left off on chapter 5. So I don't know that I will pick it back up because I have a lot of arcs to read in March. We'll see how many I actually get through, but this book was just not for me. And it makes me a little sad. I completely forgot about this book because I've like blocked it out of my mind. The other book that I picked up and then had to put down for good was The Lovers by Kristen Cast. This book, I think it's like tarot inspired because the world is called Towerfall, or the series is called Towerfall. And based on what I've read, it seems like it's based off of the drawings on the Rider-Waite tarot cards. I love tarot. I dabble in it sometimes. So that's like why I picked up the book. but also at the same time, this book was a little confusing. I think if you didn't have a little bit of knowledge of tarot and the drawings on the Rider-Waite tarot cards, you'd be very confused. But even with like simple knowledge of those cards, I just was like, ooh, what is going on? I also just hated Alder. I think that's his name. He's the male main character. He's the female main character's ex. I don't remember her name anymore. He was just really toxic and has sort of this like savior complex. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Alder sort of has it in his head that Gemma, the female main character, needs to be saved because her life is sort of falling apart, and he is rich, handsome, can provide for her basically, and she's like, no, but then falls back into bed with him anyway, and it was getting a little too toxic for me, so I DNF'd it at 40%. I really wanted to love it, but I ended up really not liking it. I'm currently reading The Fortune Flip. That comes out on March 17th. I'm really excited about that because I've read every single book that Lauren Congesson has published, and I have liked every single one. So that's what I'm reading right now. I don't think I'm very far into it, but I'm liking it so far. There's a chaotic cat and I am here for it. I also want to read Lassoed Love by Anne Enerson. I'm on her permanent arc team, so that will be fun. I'm not the biggest cowboy romance person, but I did like Wrangled Love, the first book in that series, so I'm excited to see what she's cooking up for Lassoed Love. I'm also hoping to get to The Bridge Back to You by Riss M. Nielsen. That one looked really good as well, and maybe, possibly, I will get to Love and Other Side Effects by Deidre Duncan. That one publishes April 17th. The Bridge Back to You comes out on March 31st, and Lassoed Love comes out on March 26th. So I have a little bit of a stacked month ahead of me, but I'm also like 3 books behind in my reading goal. So hopefully this will help me catch up. I also have an advanced audiobook from Macmillan of Driven by Susie Wolf. So she narrates it, and I tend to really like when that happens. I listened to Gunter Steiner's books, and they were just such a blast. I ended up listening to them more than reading with my eyeballs. So yeah, those are the 4 books that I'm hoping to get to this month. We will see what happens when I make my March wrap-up video. Thank you for listening to me yap, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.